Ladies and gentlemen, it is Project Blograna with you today, guys, and today I want to talk about a relatively interesting topic. The video will probably be titled something along the lines of Can Football Club Barcelona finally win the Champions League this season? And I will not hide behind the bush, and before I give my main arguments, I will tell you that no, Football Club Barcelona cannot win the Champions League in the season of 2025-26, and I will explain my reasons why. Firstly, I will talk about the brilliant last season that we had and implications of that season for our players this season, and also maybe discuss each player individually, what can we expect and what are the major flaws in them not achieving this beautiful feat this season, winning the Champions League. What does our team lack, and can this be sorted out? So this video will be split into three sections. Firstly, I will discuss the last season that was brilliant. Secondly, I will talk about our objective chances with the players that we have, emphasizing their strengths and more importantly and crucially their weaknesses. And then finally, I will discuss if we can change anything to improve the situation and change my opinion, because right now I am saying that no, Barcelona cannot win the Champions League, but can we do something throughout the season or in the January window to change the situation? Great questions, right? So let me drink some tea and let's talk about it. Indeed, guys, let me begin by talking about the magical season we had last year in Champions League. As we know, we got knocked out by Inter in semi-finals. After a brilliant comeback and Rafinha's goal, I thought finally it was the moment that we will win it, because for the last 10 years I have been waiting for the number 6. Genuinely, it has been one of the biggest dreams of mine to see Barcelona lift the 6th Champions League, and I am genuinely obsessed with this team. And when the full-time whistle went in that game and when we lost, I will be honest, I cried. It is what it is and it happens, and I'm very passionate about this team, so I know it inside out, I know its history, I know its values, I know its culture. So let me talk about this season particularly, because this season was genuinely brilliant. Players performed and played out of their skin, and it was like a fairy tale. Because Marc-Andre ter Stegen got injured, we called out of retirement Wojtek Szczęsny, retired goalkeeper, smoker, he was in a beach, a fairy tale. We had Balde injured in big games, as he always is. I will talk about it later in the video. But Gerard Martin steps up, a kid not from La Masia, but kid from Catalonia. Center back, naturally, few years ago played in third tier for Cornellà, and now he played in Champions League semi-finals. Fairy tale. We had brilliant defensive partnership in Inigo Martinez and Pau Cubarsí. Youth combined with experience. The passive approach of Cubarsí that sometimes was aggressive in itself versus the rather rush approach of Inigo Martinez that was sometimes composed. So it was just brilliant synergy between the center backs. It was the youthfulness and the rush of blood from Kubarsi, but he was composed in his nature, whereas Inigo was aggressive in his overall presence and his place, but he could keep his calm demeanor and leadership because he was experienced. Brilliant. Jules Koundé, incredible season as a right back. And then Frankie Pedri controlled the game like no other. Lewandowski scored some great goals. Of course, he was injured a lot, but scored some great goals. And Ferran, he was decent enough. And then we had two great wingers in Rafinha, Ballon d'Or level season, and Lamine Yamal, the breakthrough season where every single person that likes football was talking about Lamine Yamal. And then Olmo as a cam, big signing. I think we paid 50 or 60 million for him, just also starting some games. So you could talk about Fermin too, because Fermin out played him and he got the starting 11 spot. So that season was genuinely brilliant, and you can see where I am heading. You had two brilliant center backs, you had an experienced striker that's 36 years old, you had an up and coming talent at the right wing in Lamine Yamal, and you had Rafa proving his doubters wrong and giving his all. And to recreate this kind of season, it is almost impossible because the amount of physicality and mentality and passion left in that season was, in my opinion, too much. And that's why I cried, because I knew that that season was meant to be. And if we don't win that season, then we can't look at the Champions League for the next 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 years. Hence, it was very frustrating. So those are the main reasons why I don't think that we can achieve what we achieved last season, because it was incredibly demanding, and also why I think that last season was truly special. Let me drink some tea and then I will talk about each and every player in our 11 and are they good enough to win the Champions League. Indeed, guys, let me talk about each and every single player. I will talk about only players that are in starting 11, because you have to have a bit of luck with injuries in Champions League to win it. Therefore, you have to avoid them, because as we know, last season when we played Inter, we had to start Gerard Martin and Ferran, and Lewandowski and Balde were absent with injuries. And you could argue that Inter tactically exploited those two players, and both Gerard Martin and Ferran performed the worst out of 11 players that we had on the pitch. So I will talk about Juan Garcia, Balde, Kubarsi, probably Eric Garcia, Kunde, Frankie Pedri, Fermin or Olmo, Rafinha, Yamal, Rashford or Lewandowski. You can see that Olmo against Fermin and Rashford against Lewandowski, because this is genuinely like very weird situation with them, because you could say on form one player is better, but come the big games maybe other one will outperform them. So it is like a swing going one way other way, so you never know. I will talk about 13 players in total. So let me talk about Juan Garcia. His biggest strength is his sweeping, his composure, and how he is built like a great goalkeeper. He is great shot stopper, his reflexes are great, he is young, he rushes out well. So he's an incredible goalkeeper, but my main concern with him is the fact that he lacks experience. Against Newcastle he had a brilliant performance, but against Chelsea he was bad. And I will be honest, when you look at Donnarumma and Thibaut Courtois and Alisson, in biggest of games they save their team, because it is not enough to just be a good side. You will concede chances too. You have to have world-class goalkeeper behind you. I love not Eric Garcia, but Juan Garcia. I genuinely love him, but I have to be objective. Is he ready to be the best goalkeeper in the world that leads this team to trophies? I don't think he is ready yet, because the early signs are good, but his performances, such as against Chelsea, leave question marks and questions to be answered. So for me, having Juan Garcia is incredible for the next 10 seasons, but he is just not like the echelon of goalkeepers that contains Donnarumma, Alisson, Courtois. So he's great, talented, but we gotta give him time. And I don't think this season we can win Champions League with him as a starting goalkeeper. Yes, it will be great experience for him to play in this competition, but I don't think he's good enough to start and for us to win the Champions League. Nothing against Juan Garcia. He will be good enough in few years' time, but not just yet. Not just yet. Next player I want to talk about is Alejandro Balde, and I was hyping him up a lot and a lot and a lot, and now I want to like manage my expectations with him because he's never 100%. This season he has been completely average, and with Alejandro Balde it is interesting. He is injured, then he is 50%, slowly recovering 60%, 70%, slowly getting back to his speed 80%, 85%. He's getting there, relapses, gets injured for 4 weeks. When the biggest of games come, he is out, we have to play Gerard Martin, and the cycle continues. So Alejandro Balde cannot be trusted to stay fit. When he is 100%, he is top 3 left backs in the world, together with someone like Nuno Mendes. Of course, Nuno Mendes is generational and he's way better than Alejandro Balde. But when Alejandro Balde is fit, he can get close to that level. But how often he is 100% fit? You tell me. Almost never. He always gets a relapse, always some kind of stupid injury, and he misses the biggest of games. So it is frustrating with him. Undoubtedly great player, and we have to get lucky without him getting injured, but I don't think it is possible, and injuries are inevitable. So I don't think Alejandro Balde can be trusted either. Not because he's a bad footballer, but because he will always be injured. So it is a positive start, right? You cannot trust your goalkeeper and your left back to win the Champions League. It is what it is. Now let me talk about Pau Cubarsí and Eric Garcia. Eric Garcia has been good, but in big games he has gotten exposed. I don't think he's just good enough in big games. So quick with it. Incredibly good player, and I like him for squad depth. Can play left back, right back, center back, CDM. You ask him, he will do, but I don't think he is like the best player in the world. This season against Real Madrid, he was poor. This season against Chelsea, he was poor. Yes, he has great mentality, but is he physical enough? Is he good enough to perform in biggest of games? I don't know, and I also have question marks about him. Kubarsi, better. Last season he was incredible. This season he has dipped. His form is dipping a lot, and he has not been the center back he was last season. But we have to understand he is young, and I will not attack him in any way, shape, or form, because what he did last season was genuinely freakish for a center back. Like usually center backs like at 25 or 26 are not even close to being ready and playing for big teams. Just look at Van Dijk, he was at Southampton, and you have Kubarsi starting at the age of 18, which is ridiculous. And yes, he has dropped and dipped, but I don't blame him because it is natural development. So it is what it is. But can we win Champions League with Kubarsi starting? It is a conundrum because you have to pair him up with a great center back, and I don't think we have a great center back at our disposal. I would say my lovely player Christensen, but he is never fit, so I will not even talk about him because I can hype him up after 2 good games, but he will be injured come the mid-December. So it is what it is. And now finally, Jules Koundé. Let me drink some tea and I will continue with Jules Koundé. Indeed, guys, let me talk about Jules Koundé. Last season he was decent, but he got criticized for some of his performances. Of course, he had great moments like scoring a goal in El Clasico, winning. Was it Supercopa? I think it was Supercopa. He won the game, or Copa del Rey. I can't remember. I'll be honest. We destroyed Madrid in both, but which one was which, I don't remember. I think it was Supercopa was 5-2, I think, so it has to be Copa del Rey then. Maybe I'm wrong, I don't know, I don't care. Jules Koundé this season has dipped a lot in his form and his performances, so he needs a break. I don't know what he needs. Just looks fatigued, tired, and drained. I can't blame him because last season was very demanding, so it is what it is. And yet another shaky player, so it is frustrating because you have Juan Garcia, who is young and raw, inexperienced in big games. You have Balde, who is always injured. You have Kubarsi, who is super young. You have Eric, who is average. And then you have Koundé, who is just very lazy recently and not right here. Mentally, something's up with him. So our whole backline leaves a lot to be desired. So not looking good. And in Champions League, you gotta have good defense. So I already could end the video, but let me talk about players further up the pitch. So let me talk about Frankie and Pedri in midfield. Indeed, guys, I will talk about Frankie and Pedri. I will start with Frankie, I guess. Just incredible player, controls the tempo very well, very physical, covers the ground well. Pedri, literally the same build, can drop deep. Pause dictates the tempo so well, intense, strong, and they are the evil twins. Both of them are the same and possess same qualities. And in my opinion, you have to have someone like Marc Bernal in that team if you want to win the Champions League, because Marc Bernal has presence, he is tall. After the injury, I see that he barely runs and is sluggish and is slow because he's super tall man. You have to understand his recovery will take time, and the version of 24, 25, 26 year old Marc Bernal is extremely pleasant and exciting, but currently he just is too raw and his injury halted his development, so he's not ready yet to be a partner in crime with someone like Pedri. So for now we will be left with Pedri and Frankie, which is not bad, but you have to understand that last season with Pedri was anomaly, that he did not get injured. I don't want to jinx anything, but no way that this injury that made him miss the game against Chelsea will be the only injury he misses via 2 to 3 weeks. So if I am critical, I do think Pedri will relapse come January, February, March. We have a big game. We don't have Pedri, and we are done. So without him, we are done. And you are basically playing Russian roulette. You play Pedri and blank, 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 blank bullet injured. So last season we gambled and we succeeded, but this season, if we gamble again, inevitably we will collapse. And then finally, Frankie de Jong. He's never injured, at least rarely injured. Decent footballer, but I don't think his profile complements Pedri. It is beautiful to watch them together just pass the ball, but is it enough in biggest of games? I don't know. As I say, in dream world, I would like to have someone like Bernal together with Pedri, but the version of Bernal that covers a lot of ground is physically great and fit. Currently, he is not that, but he has potential to be. But we again are talking about potential. To win Champions League, potential is not enough. You have to perform at the highest of level. So it is what it is, and I don't think our midfield has that profile. Sorry, profile to win the Champions League. So Pedri, Frankie, genuinely unbelievable, but I don't think it is enough to win the Champions League. Okay, guys, so I am left to talk about Fermin, Olmo, Rafa, Yamal, Lewandowski, and Rashford. 6 players. I'll be quick. Fermin, great dynamic player, but this season has proven in big games that he tends to be average and not ready enough. So Fermin is not ready. Olmo, great player, but something's off with him. Extremely injury prone, as we already know, and he hasn't picked up. And in the best case scenario, he picks up and becomes great cam to start games, but inevitably he will fail and he will get injured again. So it is what it is, and we will have to trust Fermin, and Fermin is not ready. And when you're not ready in big games, you get cooked. So it is what it is. So our camp situation is kind of you have great talents that you like to watch, but not enough to win the Champions League. Next, Yamal, give him rest. Just send him somewhere for 2 months, because At some point, this pubalgia cannot be excused because at some point, watching the biggest of games when Yamal hasn't performed well, it was two times against Nuno Mendes, one was for Spain, another one was for Barcelona, and now against Cucurella. It's almost like he's not even trying. It's almost like he doesn't want to sprint, doesn't want to take his man on. It's like, okay, I failed once, so I will just sit back and the press will make an excuse that I have Bulgaria. If he has those problems, sort them out. If he has not got those problems, then what the hell is that, Yamal? I understand you are a kid, but come on, man. You are better than that. Like, when things are not going right, you do what you did against Inter last season. You take the ball in the middle of the pitch, you run past three people, including Bastoni, and you curve one in of the post and in. Like this season, you get pocketed by Kukureya. Like, I mean, it's like you're not even trying. As I'm saying, if you have this pubalgia issue, then medical staff should not play him. Play you, as I'm referring to Yamal, like you. But if you have no issues, then sort it out and play football normally because it has been very frustrating to see Yamal this season, knowing what he did last season. Expectations are high, and if Koules will say that he is best player in the world, you expect him to perform against biggest of teams, not only score great goals against Espanyol and Benfica, but also score great goals against Real Madrid, PSG, and Chelsea. Of course, he did against Real Madrid last season, but last season half of the continent dunked on Real Madrid. So, can it be objective? Maybe. Next, let me talk about Rafinha. Same thing. Like last season, he was an underdog. He had a point to prove. He left his all. He almost won Ballon d'Or, and where is guaranteed that he will recreate the season that he had last season? Extremely unlikely. But if there is one player that has mentality to do so, I think it's Rafinha because of his upbringing, because of his background, and because of his work rate. I do think he can, sorry, recreate season that he had. So he is one player I have hopes for, but those hopes are not like super high. So it is what it is, but that's just how life goes. And then finally you have Rashford and Lewandowski. I mean, Rashford just simple and quick, big games. If you play him on wing, he will not get the ball. He will just pass backwards. Only good in transitions, so you have to play him as a striker. And there are questions about his technical consistency too and his work rate. So it is. And for Lewandowski, last season he was the experienced striker, scoring a lot of goals. This season he will decline inevitably and already has declined. So you are left with an aging striker. So overall, let me talk about the front line a little bit more because the main idea I have to win the Champions League, you gotta have also great attack. And last season we had up and coming Yamal exploding, Rafa with point to prove, and Lewandowski experienced but still got it. This season we have, I don't want to be mean, but Yamal with very big ego and excuses. You have Rafinha, who is never performing great because he's injured. Of course, he came back and now he has to recreate the level and the Ballon d'Or performance because everybody is expecting it. And can he do it without burning out? I don't know. And then you have Lewandowski, who is an uncle already, and he will decline and decline. So it's not looking good. And about January, can we do anything to improve the situation? We can improve the situation. We can get in a competent center back next to Kubarsi. That would be a great first step. We have to act accordingly. We have to get rid of players that are not good enough. Araujo. 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 Whoa, what was that, man? I called him Araujo first and then I started to cough but acted like it was the plot. Worked out for me. You have to get rid of players like Araujo. Costs too much in big games, hasn't recovered mentally, and I think his Barcelona career is over. You can take the right steps, but I don't think it is enough to win the Champions League with this team. You have to have at least 3 more seasons. Hopefully, Bernal develops, Balde stops being injury prone, Pedri manages to stay fit, Yamal develops and sorts out his problems and his ego. We get in a striker and then we can think about it. But currently, I don't think it is possible that we win the Champions League. So, those are my overall thoughts. And let me move on to my final conclusions. Indeed, guys, let me give me your final thoughts. You could look at it both ways. Firstly, that I am overly critical, and the other way is that I'm giving this unrealistic rating that Barcelona is so bad that I am just giving excuse for us to lose. No, we are Football Club Barcelona. We have to win every single game, every single competition. We have to compete, playing certain way and with certain philosophy. But I am objective about this team. And why am I so harsh and so negative? Because I love this team so much. And I don't want to react right now by saying that we are this incredible team. We have the teenage GOAT, we have the best left back in the world, we have the best goalkeeper in the world. So I'm not forced to react again when we collapse in round of 16 or quarterfinals if we get that far. So I am easing off my expectations now. So the reaction when we inevitably lose would be calmer and simpler. I love this team. Maybe it was critical, but those are my overall thoughts. And to conclude, what can I say? Football Club Barcelona, unfortunately, are not good enough to win the Champions League for at least the upcoming 2 to 3 seasons, in my opinion. Because to win the Champions League, you have to give Juan Garcia some time. You have to hope that Balde stops being injured for biggest of games. You have to hope Kubarsi develops. You have to have great partner for him. You have to sort out whatever the hell is going on with Kunde. You have to keep Pedri fit. You have to develop Bernal and his profile. You have to sort out the number 10 situation by either playing 4-3-3 or getting in a competent cam or hoping Olmo finally starts to perform accordingly to his price tag, or Fermin also performs in big games. You have to hope that Yamal finally sorts his ego out and stops excusing himself with pubalgia, etc. You have to hope that Rafinha keeps his Ballon d'Or level, and you have to get in striker. And then you also have to get lucky with million of factors, and you don't have to get injured, you have to get lucky, and we will have to do it with new coach, because let's be honest, Flick, he's staying this season and maybe at max next season. And then after that, new coach, new ideas, small rebuild, time to develop, time to adjust, and it will take some time. So to roughly guess when Barcelona will win the Champions League, I would say it would be around 2030, 2031. It is frustrating and it is sad for me, but it is what it is. And I wouldn't be surprised if in this timeline Real Madrid at least win 2 more Champions Leagues, because yes, their team is dysfunctioning, not organized, but they have individuals that can win games like Kylian Mbappe. Does Barcelona have player like Mbappe that can score 4 goals against Olympiacos when they perform poorly and win the game 4-3? I don't think so. Yamal will fucking take a shot with his left foot and miss and just do this with his shorts down. I love the kid, but I am being harsh right now because I'm frustrated with this team. So you can take this video as me venting and showing my frustration with the performance against Chelsea and the performances this season overall, and with what could have been from last season, and also my personal expectations to see another Champions League lifted by Barcelona in my lifetime, because the last one I saw in 2015 and I was very young. I want to experience it as an adult, as a mature person. So many factors have happened, and those are my overall thoughts as always. I love this team. Visca Barça, Visca Catalonia, and see you guys on the next video. Vamos!